Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a question that, well, it might just change how you look at your plate. What if the key to really vibrant health has been right there, right under our noses, maybe overlooked for generations?
It's a fascinating premise.
It is. Our mission today is a real deep dive into the extraordinary power of green leafy vegetables, often really underestimated.
Definitely underestimated.
We want to unpack how a simple shift, specifically adding green smoothies, could potentially lead to some pretty profound health changes. And our starting point is quite a story, isn't it? Victoria Boutenko's personal journey, based on our sources. Could you maybe set the scene? What were the health challenges her family faced?
Absolutely. It was quite extreme. Victoria's family was dealing with severe conditions, things doctors called incurable. Her husband had hyperthyroidism, chronic rheumatoid arthritis, so bad that, on rainy days, she actually had to tie his shoes for him. His spine just wouldn't bend. Yeah, and his heart rate was constantly over 140. Victoria herself had arrhythmia, significant edema, swelling in her legs, and her weight had reached 280 pounds.
Gosh. And the children.
Their daughter, Valia, was born with asthma and allergies, coughing all night sometimes. And their son, Sergei, was diagnosed with diabetes. They were, well, in sheer despair. So initially, they turned to a raw food diet.
Okay, and that first step, the raw food diet, how did that go? Was it like an instant fix?
It was honestly miraculous, almost unbelievable according to the accounts. They managed to heal all these incurable, life-threatening diseases incredibly quickly. So quickly that in just 3.5 months, the whole family, all 4 of them, ran a 10K race.
Seriously, after all that?
Seriously. Alongside 40,000 other runners, Sergei's blood sugar completely stabilized. It just shows, doesn't it? Breakthroughs often come from looking differently, even when conventional wisdom points elsewhere.
That is an incredible turnaround. But the story doesn't end there, right? Our sources say after about 7 years, even on this successful raw diet, they hit a kind of plateau.
Exactly. That initial huge success was undeniable. But then new symptoms started appearing. Victoria started gaining weight again, felt heavy after meals. Her husband's mustache and beard began turning gray. And maybe most worryingly, the kids started complaining about tooth sensitivity.
So that raised a big question for them.
A crucial one. What was still missing, even from this raw food plan that had done so much good?
Okay, let's unpack this next step because it's pretty unconventional. Facing this plateau, Victoria didn't go back to human nutrition experts. She looked somewhere else entirely. She looked to our closest genetic relatives, chimpanzees. Humans and chimps share, like 99.4% of our DNA?
That's the figure, yeah.
Right.
An astonishing similarity.
So the question became, if we're that close genetically, shouldn't we maybe learn something from their diet? What did she find out?
It was a real aha moment. Victoria discovered that, contrary to that popular image of chimps just eating bananas.
Right, like in cartoons.
Exactly. Their diet in the wild is actually heavy on fruits and a really significant amount of greens. Depending on the season, greens can make up anywhere from 25% to even 50% of what they eat.
50%? Wow.
Yeah. And just to be clear, greens here means leaves. Not root vegetables like carrots or beets. Chimps apparently rarely eat those unless it's like a famine situation.
Okay, that's a huge contrast to most human diets, especially the standard American diet. That diet's full of cooked stuff, starches, oils, dairy things chimps wouldn't dream of eating. And our green intake, it's often pathetic, like the source mentioned, 2 wilted iceberg lettuce leaves on our sandwich.
Precisely. And even many raw food diets, maybe trying to compensate, end up relying too much on fruits, nuts, seeds, oils, potentially missing that crucial green component or creating other imbalances.
So to get anywhere near the chimpanzee level,
Yeah.
how many greens are we actually talking about for a human?
Well, Victoria's research suggested that ideally, humans might need something like 1 to 2 good-sized bunches of dark leafy greens per person, per day. That could be 1 or 2 pounds.
1 or 2 pounds.
Per person.
Per person, per day. It's a significant amount. And interestingly, she also noted the chimp eating pattern. Lots of fruit in the morning, then mostly greens until mid-afternoon. And they rarely eat late in the evening.
That is a lot of greens. Which brings us right to the big hurdle, doesn't it? If greens are so vital, why do so many of us, well, dislike them or find them just really hard to eat in those quantities? Victoria herself apparently struggled. She mentioned getting heartburn, nausea, even after just a couple of cups of shredded greens. She tried different things, juicing, dressings, but it always felt like a chore. What's the biological barrier here?
It's a real barrier. Plant cells have these tough outer walls made of cellulose. To get the nutrients locked inside, those walls need to be completely ruptured. And frankly, our modern human chewing often just isn't up to the task. Our jaws tend to be narrower, the muscles weaker, plus many people have dental issues. Chewing greens into a totally creamy pulp is almost impossible for most of us.
Okay, so chewing isn't enough. What else? Beyond the physical breakdown, there's the chemical side. For optimal digestion and nutrient absorption, our stomach acid needs to be incredibly strong. We're talking a pH between 1 and 2.
Just to put that in perspective, a pH of 1 to 2, that's like battery acid level strong. That's what your stomach should be like to break down food properly.
Exactly. So if you're not breaking down that cellulose mechanically through chewing and your stomach acid isn't strong enough,
then the nutrients just aren't getting absorbed properly.
pretty much. It's like trying to digest a tough piece of meat by just swishing it in water instead of dissolving it with powerful acid. The nutrients remain locked away. Your body can basically be starving for nutrients even if you're eating loads of greens. And that's likely why the Boutenkos hit that wall. Even on their raw food diet, they weren't fully accessing the power of the greens they were eating.
Right. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. Victoria, needing a solution, had this, well, radical idea. She thought, what if I could sort of pre-chew the greens using a high-speed blender, a Vitamix? How did that first experiment go? Was it instantly delicious?
Huh. Apparently not. Her very first attempt was just kale and water. The smell was reportedly so strong she almost gagged.
Oh, dear.
But she didn't give up. She thought about it, then decided to add several bananas and blended it again. And that was the light bulb moment. That dark, unappealing mixture suddenly transformed into this bright green, surprisingly delicious, even refreshing drink. She actually described the taste as freshness itself.
Wow, so a sort of happy accident leads to a major breakthrough. What happened when she drank that first green smoothie? What were the immediate effects?
The effects were immediate and profound, according to her account. After drinking that blend, 1 bunch of kale, 4 bananas, about a quart of water, she just felt wonderful. She'd consumed a huge amount of greens easily with no oil or salt needed, and crucially, no stomach issues at all. No heartburn, no nausea.
Well,
This was August 2004, and she called it the beginning of the green smoothie revolution. Now, it's worth mentioning Dr. Ann Wigmore and her energy soup from decades before, which also involved blending. But Victoria's key innovation seems to be making these blended greens genuinely palatable, something people would actually drink regularly.
Right.
That was the game changer.
Right, consistency is key.
Absolutely. And the personal improvements Victoria saw just started snowballing. She mentioned 2 moles and a wart she'd had since childhood just peeled off her body.
Really?
That's what the source says. Plus, she had way more energy. Cravings for heavy, unhealthy foods just disappeared. She noticed fewer facial wrinkles. Her nails got stronger. Her vision seemed sharper. And he even had a consistently pleasant taste in her mouth.
And it wasn't just her experiencing these things, right? The whole family saw changes.
Yes, the whole family. Her husband, Igor's mustache and beard apparently started growing back blacker, making him look younger, like when they first met. The kids had more energy, they were sleeping better, experiencing more complete eliminations, which is a sign of better digestion. Their nails got stronger, and that tooth sensitivity issue resolved.
That's amazing. And it spread beyond the family, too.
It did. Her web designer, just by trying them, started craving more raw foods and lost 15 pounds in a couple of months without really trying. And another story involved a woman across the road who had eczema. She started drinking just a cup of green smoothie most days, and her skin cleared up significantly. It really suggests a simple change can have these ripple effects.
Okay, so let's dig into why this might be happening. We often just lump greens in with other vegetables, but our sources argue pretty strongly that greens should almost be their own food group. Why?
It's because the nutritional density, particularly in the leaves versus the roots or stems, is just dramatically different. The examples are quite startling. Take beets. The beet tops, the greens we often throw away, have 7 times more calcium and an incredible 192 times more vitamin A than the beetroot itself.
192 times. That's nuts.
It is. Or look at turnips. The turnip tops contain something like 2,500 times more vitamin K than the turnip root.
2,500 times.
Yeah, we are literally discarding the most nutrient-packed part of the plant in many cases.
That is truly eye-opening. Okay, so they're packed with vitamins and minerals. What about protein? That's something most people probably don't associate with leafy greens.
Right, and that's a huge misconception the sources aim to debunk.
Yeah.
Greens are actually an abundant source of protein. Kale, for example. A pound of kale can contain more protein than the USDA's recommended daily serving for an adult, which is often cited around, say, 50 grams.
More protein in a pound of kale than the daily recommendation.
Often, yes. And the key difference is how greens provide protein. They offer it in the form of individual amino acids. These are the basic building blocks. Your body can take these individual amino acids and build the exact proteins it needs much more easily and efficiently than breaking down complex animal proteins first.
So it's like getting pre-sorted Lego bricks. Instead of a complex model, you have to dismantle first.
That's a great analogy. It suggests our bodies are incredibly well designed to use these foundational amino acids directly from plants. And interestingly, deficiencies in certain amino acids can manifest in ways you might not expect, things like depression, lack of focus, or even intense cravings for unhealthy stuff like sweets, caffeine, or alcohol.
Fascinating connection. Okay, beyond protein, let's talk fiber. The sources call it the magic sponge. Why is fiber so much more important than just, keeping things moving?
Oh, it's vastly more important than just regularity. Think of fiber as your body's essential daily internal janitor. It's constantly sweeping things out. Not just undigested food waste, but also environmental toxins we absorb, heavy metals, pesticide residues, and critically, the debris from billions of cells that naturally die and get replaced every single day.
Billions of cells.
Yes, our bodies are constantly rebuilding. One source mentions that as much as 98% of the atoms in our body are replaced each year. That's potentially 70 to 100 pounds of dead cells and metabolic waste that needs to be escorted out.
Wow, I never thought of it that way.
And most of us just aren't getting enough fiber to handle that cleanup job effectively. The average person might get 10-15 grams a day, a wild chimpanzee, over 200 grams.
200 grams. Okay, that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
What's the recommendation for humans?
The general recommendation is somewhere between 30 and 50 grams per day for optimal health, and green smoothies are a fantastic way to boost that intake significantly and gradually. A single quart or liter can provide around 12 to 18 grams of fiber right there.
Okay, so better nutrient absorption, easier protein building, massive fiber boost for detox. This all seems connected to the body's ability to heal itself, right? This idea of homeostasis. And you mentioned the critical role of stomach acid, or HCl, earlier. Can we circle back to that? Low stomach acid sounds like a bigger deal than people realize.
It absolutely is. The condition, hypochlorhydria, is way more common than generally acknowledged. And as we discussed, if that acid isn't strong enough, pH 1 to 2, you just can't break down food properly, especially proteins, and you can't absorb minerals effectively. Plus, strong stomach acid is your first line of defense against pathogens, bacteria, parasites coming in with your food. Low acid compromises that defense.
And you said it's linked to things like gray hair.
Yes, and potentially a whole host of chronic diseases, everything from arthritis to allergies to diabetes. It's foundational for nutrient absorption and defense.
So how would someone even know if they have low stomach acid? Victoria Boutenko apparently came up with a simple home test.
She did the beet juice test. The idea is simple. Drink some beet juice. If your urine or stool turns red or pink afterward, it suggests your stomach acid might be too weak to break down the pigments properly.
Interesting. Did she see this change in her own family?
She reported that initially their waist did turn red after beets, but after consistently drinking green smoothies, it stopped. This suggested their digestion, presumably including HCl production, had improved.
Okay, anecdotal evidence, but compelling. Was there any more formal study on this?
Yes, that led to the Roseberg study in April 2005, which she conducted with a physician, Dr. Paul Fiber. They had 27 volunteers drink 1 quart of green smoothie daily for a month. The results were pretty remarkable. Using standard medical tests for HCl levels, they found that 2/3, 66.7% of the participants showed measurable improvement in their stomach acid production after just 1 month.
2/3. That's significant. What else did they find in that study?
The benefits went beyond just HCl. Participants reported a wide range of improvements. Increased energy was common, many felt their depression lifted, blood sugar levels stabilized, nails got stronger, some even reported an improved sex life, and various other chronic issues started resolving.
And the doctor running the study.
Dr. Fiber himself. He was so impressed by his patients' results that he started drinking the smoothies too. And according to the story, a small, persistent growth he had on his nose just fell off after a while.
Wow. Okay, that's quite a testimonial. Let's shift gears slightly to alkalinity. We hear this term thrown around a lot. Why is maintaining an alkaline balance in the body considered so important? especially in the context of serious diseases like cancer.
It's incredibly important, and the connection to serious illness goes back a long way. Nobel Prize winner Dr. Otto Warburg discovered way back in the 1930s that cancer cells seem to thrive in an acidic, low-oxygen environment. Healthy cells prefer a slightly alkaline, oxygen-rich environment. This really highlights why understanding the pH impact of foods matters. Some foods are highly acid-forming in the body, like Parmesan cheese, which has a potential renal acid load, PRL score, of around -34, very acidic.
Acidic form.
Whereas greens, like spinach, are highly alkalizing, with a PRL score around +14. Green smoothies, being packed with alkalizing minerals from the greens, can really help nudge the body back towards that optimal, slightly alkaline state, especially for blood pH.
And there was an interesting point about body fat, too.
Yes, a really intriguing idea presented in the sources is that the body might actually create fat cells as a way to safely store excess acid that it can't neutralize or eliminate quickly enough. It sort of quarantines the acid in fat tissue.
So gaining weight might not just be about excess calories, but potentially the body protecting itself from being overly acidic.
That's the hypothesis presented. It definitely reframes how we might think about body fat and the importance of an alkaline diet.
Okay. Another key component of greens is chlorophyll. The sources poetically call it liquefied sun energy. What makes it so special, and why the comparison to human blood?
It's a beautiful description, and scientifically it's fascinating. Chlorophyll is the molecule that allows plants to capture sunlight and convert it into energy through photosynthesis. Its molecular structure is almost identical to hemoglobin, the molecule in our red blood cells that carries oxygen.
Almost identical. How so?
The core structure is the same ring shape. The only major difference is that hemoglobin has an iron atom at its center, while chlorophyll has a magnesium atom.
Wow.
So consuming chlorophyll-rich foods is almost like bathing our internal organs in this captured sun energy. It's believed to help carry oxygen in the body, support the growth of beneficial aerobic bacteria in our gut, and it's credited with a huge range of healing properties: antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, potentially cancer preventive, good for vision. It's foundational plant energy.
Foundational life force. Okay. Finally, let's tackle omega-3s. Most people hear omega-3 and think fish oil, maybe flax seeds, but greens is a primary source. Tell us about that and the balance with omega-6s.
Right. This is another area where greens are often overlooked. It really comes down to a crucial balance between different types of essential fatty acids that regulate our metabolism. Think of omega-3s as promoting a faster, more active metabolism like you'd see in a hummingbird, constantly burning energy. Omega-6s, on the other hand, tend to promote slower metabolism, energy storage. Maybe think of a hibernating bear. We need both, but in the right ratio.
And our modern diet has messed up that ratio.
Drastically. Modern food processing often removes fragile omega-3s from oils to extend shelf life. Plus, the way we raise livestock and farmed fish, feeding them grains, which are high in omega-6s, instead of their natural diet of grass or algae, which are rich in omega-3s, means the meat, dairy, eggs, and farmed fish we eat are also skewed heavily towards omega-6.
So we end up with way too much omega-6 and not enough omega-3.
Exactly. That imbalance is now strongly linked to inflammation, obesity, heart disease, and many other chronic modern illnesses.
So where do greens fit in?
Here's the key insight from the sources. Greens are a primary original source of alpha-linolenic acid, or ALA. ALA is the parent omega-3 fatty acid. Our bodies can convert ALA into the longer-chain omega-3s like EPA and DHA, the ones usually associated with fish oil. This suggests that maybe our ancestral source of essential omega-3s wasn't primarily fish, but the abundant green plants that early humans would have consumed.
That's a really important point. So putting this all together, the protein, the fiber, the HCl support, the alkalinity, the chlorophyll, the omega-3s consistently consuming plenty of greens, especially in an easily digestible form like green smoothies, seems like a really powerful way to rebalance our internal environment and support the body's natural innate ability to heal itself.
Precisely. It's less about treating specific symptoms and more about providing the fundamental building blocks and optimal conditions for the body to do what it's designed to do: repair, regenerate, and thrive.
And the real-life stories really seem to back this up. The transformations described in the sources are just incredible. You mentioned Victoria Everett earlier.
Yes, losing 120 pounds, healing multiple chronic conditions. She said after hitting a plateau on raw food, the green smoothies made her feel immediately fantastic. It was the missing piece for her.
And it wasn't just weight. Jenny Rogers saw her rosacea clear up, her hair stopped thinning, her brittle nails became strong, just from adding green smoothies daily. Her boyfriend apparently had similar results with his acne and rosacea too.
Then there's Raja's experience. Cooked food cravings vanished, heart palpitations stopped, kidney pain resolved. She even felt her hearing improved.
Yeah.
It suggests a deep reset happening in the body.
A deep reset that really captures it. And maybe the most dramatic story was JS, the 25-year-old in a wheelchair.
Just incredible. 2 weeks of green smoothies alongside a raw diet, lost 25 pounds, suddenly had energy to stay awake all day, and managed to hike a quarter-mile hill, leading them to say, "Wheelchair for sale."
Unbelievable. Just imagine that shift in quality of life. We also heard from Rosanna Denio about childbirth. She contrasted a difficult first delivery with a peaceful, smooth second one, crediting green smoothies with preparing her body.
It really speaks to the body's resilience and capacity when properly nourished. And for people tracking specific numbers, Elizabeth Sheehy's doctor was reportedly stunned when her cholesterol dropped significantly from 260 down to 223 in just 3 months of adding green smoothies. No other major changes.
And the anecdotes just keep coming. A marathon runner experiencing no muscle soreness after long runs, a diabetic finding they could tolerate fruit again, someone getting off anxiety and allergy medications.
Right, even a story about a baby whose iron levels were so good after being breastfed by mom drinking green smoothies, the doctor joked, "What have you been feeding him, Nails?"
It's just the sheer breadth of reported benefits across different ages and conditions is really compelling, isn't it?
It really is. It points towards something fundamental being addressed.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you listening right now? This deep dive really highlights that incorporating something like green smoothies is actually pretty accessible. It's a simple tool you can add to your routine, regardless of what your diet looks like right now.
Absolutely. And if we connect it back to that bigger picture, it's fundamentally about shifting perspective, moving away from just chasing symptoms and towards truly nourishing the body's core processes. When you consistently give your body this abundance of easily absorbed nutrients from greens, you're basically empowering its own innate intelligence to heal and find balance.
And it's important to remember, as the sources point out, this isn't some brand new fad. It builds on the wisdom of pioneers like Dr. Ann Wigmore, who Victoria Boutenko actually dedicates her book to. Dr. Wigmore was championing blended greens and living foods way back in the 20th century.
True. The modern understanding and the technology, like high-speed blenders, just make it easier and perhaps more effective now.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. If something as simple as adding green smoothies daily can potentially help reverse chronic issues, normalize body functions, maybe even change our fundamental cravings, what other challenges in our lives, things we might think are incurable or just the way things are, might actually yield if we consistently gave our minds and bodies exactly what they truly need? Not just what we think they want or what's convenient, but what they fundamentally require to thrive.
It's a powerful question.
It is. We really invite you to consider maybe trying it for yourself. Experiment. Observe your own body's unique response. Because ultimately, as we always say, you are your own best expert.